Hey, what's up y'all? It's Manga Sans here with my first ever YouTube video. Get it? Manga Sans as in the Comic Sans typeface, except this is going to be a very manga-orientated channel. This is my Manga Haul for October 2020, and just to go over the format of my videos real quick, I plan to go over my second-hand pickups first to get them out of the way, then from there onwards delve into my retail price releases in order of what I believe are best known to least known. I might do a digital releases pickup video separately in future. I, for one, have an odd relationship with secondhand manga, simply because the first time I attempted a transaction, I ended up getting scammed. This is my first successful secondhand purchase, being volumes 1 to 4 of My Hero Academia. There's the front, there's the side, and here's the back. My Hero Academia follows our main character over here, Izuku Midoriya, who wants to become a hero from a very young age. In fact, it's always been his dream. His dreams are somewhat shattered when a doctor reveals that he is not going to be able to become a hero because he's part of the 20% of the population that actually doesn't have a quirk. Quirks in this world are superhuman powers that allow you and basically propel you into becoming a hero. But this doesn't necessarily stop Izuku. He is depressed by the factor that, he doesn't have powers, but he doesn't really give up. He never does give up, and he really does want to save people. We follow his journey towards becoming the greatest hero ever, and I'd be pretty surprised if you haven't heard of this one due to its really wildly popular anime adaptation. There are a few things that the manga I feel like does better than the anime, so I'm just going to go over those real quick. Firstly, I suppose we'll look at some of the background art. So when it comes to background art, I feel like it's something that the anime kind of butchers. They kind of make it more like cubey, and it just doesn't really look that good. But here in the manga, as you can see, there is something really gorgeous background art. Something else that the manga does right that I don't feel the anime does correctly are these little character outlines. It says behind the scenes over there, and it says that for a reason, because the anime doesn't really cover any of this. So it kind of goes into the author's head a bit more. And the final thing actually has to do with some of the references that the original source material makes. The original source material makes reference to properties like Mario and a lot of Nintendo properties and stuff, even Marvel, but the anime has to censor all of this due to copyright laws. So that's something to kind of keep in mind, is that the manga doesn't censor all of these, whereas because the anime is so widely consumed, they basically had to censor it. Moving swiftly onto my second series included in the same lot, we have volumes 8 and 9 of Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul is a series that I fell off of simply because, well, the adaptation of the re-arc in the anime was pretty atrocious, and I think relatively unanimously atrocious. Here's volume 9. I remember specifically when volume 1 hit bookstores, I was quite young, and I was kind of I kind of cringed at the art style, but I do have kind of a new appreciation for it now when I look at it. Here's a really nice looking color page, and then also let's look at some of the general art. There you go. It's really quite nice, and it's a really unique art style that I don't think a lot of other manga kind of tries to do. So yeah, I do have a newfound appreciation for it. If you want to wear, Tokyo Ghoul follows Kaneki Ken, who goes on a date with a girl, only to realize that she's a ghoul, i.e. someone who needs to consume human flesh to survive, and he is attacked and basically wakes up in a hospital bed, and he is the first ever half-ghoul. And basically, this release has a matte finish in the Viz signature format. Volume 8 coincidentally picks up where the anime's second season begins, so it's a good place to start the series, which I, and fellow YouTuber Boogie Snacks, highly recommend doing. Finally, we're going to move swiftly onto my retail buys, which I'm quite excited about. First of all, we have the intrinsically popular Death Note, Volume 1. There we go. There's the front. There's the side. And here's the back. Oh, look at how gorgeous that artwork looks. It's quite nice. So basically, Death Note is one of those franchises that gained a very wide popular following in the West. And because of that, because I'm a hippie who despises anything mainstream, I avoided the anime at all costs back then. My local bookstore doesn't have a wide selection of manga, so I always looked for volume 1s at least, and Death Note is the one that happened to foot the bill this time, so I picked it up. This is a single release. There are 2-in-1 releases called Death Note Black Edition, but I don't plan to pick those up because the front and back cover of the single releases, I think, more than makes up for the fact that it doesn't have color pages, or the fact that it comes in a standard print size, so I really don't mind that whatsoever. Death Note follows a Light Yagami, who is a human who comes into possession of a Death Note, which was dropped by a death god. If a name is written in the book, that person happens to die. The manga itself has a matte finish and an embossed title. It just feels good to hold in the hand. Having read the first chapter, I liked it so much that I ended up making a giant purchase and will be giving this volume to a family member to enjoy. Just something a little extra that I wanted to mention. I really do like the art in this one. I feel like some of the blacks are just very emphasized, and it really does add to that kind of darker feel. Like if you look at Ryuk over here, look at how like dark that is. Like that's some really dark ink right there. Moving on, the next 2 volumes are ones I picked up recently, so I can't really talk much about them. Just a heads up, they might have plastic covers because that's how I quote-unquote preserve my manga, so apologies if there's a glare. The first is volume 13 of The Promised Neverland, which recently got a pretty good, pretty faithful anime adaptation, I would say. What happened with this one is I ended up falling off it simply because volume 1 like to 12 was really easy to pick up, but with 13 onwards for some reason I'm just waiting for the prices to drop before picking them up because they are super high, like genuinely overpriced. The Promised Neverland centers around a group of orphans who live in a seemingly perfect orphanage called Gracefield House. Their caretaker, who goes by Mom, cares for them greatly and provides them with tasty meals, and also educates them for tests that they have to take. I went into the series blind when it first came out, and the twist that happens midway through the first volume left my mouth agape. I highly recommend the manga over the anime, but because of spoilers I can't really get into why. Either way, this is an awesome series. I believe quite early into the volumes it goes past the first season of the anime that was recently released, so if that's something that you're interested in, like continuing the story, I do highly recommend picking it up. So yeah. Next up we have 20th Century Boys, which is a Naoki Urasawa work. There we go. This one's pretty hefty. So yeah, this one comes with a gorgeous matte finish, like genuinely it's so nice, and then it also has a ton of embossing as well as flip covers, and because this is my first time having a flip cover, I'm like pretty excited about it. I don't know, I'm like really excited about it. With this one, I didn't have enough time to really read it, so I'm basically just going to be giving my version of the blurb. Basically, the blurb says that the end of the 20th century marks the extinction of humanity as we know it, and the story follows a group of boys who aim to save the world. Based on other manga-tubers I've watched, this is a series filled with mystery, conspiracies, and genuine moments of tension. This is a 2-in-1 release that does have color pages, and the price for it is definitely quite fair in my opinion. So let's just get a good look at those. That beautiful color page. Wow, that's nice. This one might be included in a manga reading log that may or may not happen. Don't hold me to it. This volume did come slightly bent and dent, but I think if I just press it down with some other books, it should be fine. So I'm not like, you know, super upset about that. Next up, we have Platinum End, which was done by the same pair that did Death Note. It has like a foil, like Pokemon card kind of finish on it, which was definitely strange, but also like kind of nice, I guess. So yeah, there we go. Now I'm just going to get into the summary of it. Let's see. So the manga follows Mirai, who despite being named Future, wants to commit suicide in the beginning of the volume. This is just a warning. There are some mature themes in this one, like nudity and definitely mention of suicide, so do keep that in mind. As he's about to end it all, he's greeted by an angel who says he's one of the chosen 12. These 12 people, who all have an angel, need to participate in a battle royale of sorts, and the last person standing becomes God. This volume has stellar art and is one of the pair's most recent works, so you can clearly see that there are improvements in the art and like basically in the art in that respect. Like look at that, pretty nice. Let me look for like a good page. Kind of like over here. So yeah, I think some of the art is like pretty nice. The story itself feels a lot like Mirai Nikki, but with added angels. This one ended on a predictable cliffhanger, but was enjoyable enough that I feel like picking up volume 2 at least. Following Platinum End is another mature content warning in Fire Punch. I picked this one up because I saw so many manga tubers talking about how like distressing and scarring the first volume was, and I was like, well, it can't be that bad, right? I was wrong. It definitely is. With Fire Punch, it's not really a question of what it has in it, it's more a question of what graphic content doesn't it have. There are themes of gore, nudity, cannibalism, and talk of bestiality, and this runs through the entire first volume only. I would compare the experience to watching Ari Aster's Midsommar, which in my opinion is one of the most disturbing horror movies out there. Similarly, I remember every single page of this volume because of how impactful and genuinely distressing it is. The story is about Luna and Agni, orphans who are regarded as blessed because they have superhuman powers. With our two main characters, this power is regeneration to different degrees. One day, the village is set alight, and Agni is the sole survivor. From there onwards, the tale becomes one of intense hate and revenge as Agni hunts down those who have ruined his life, all while burning eternally. The art in this is unmistakably beautiful. Like if you look at a page like this, it is really gorgeous. So like even if you look at things like the elements of fire, snow, and electricity that are seen throughout the entire volume, it's done to perfection. So despite all of the, you know, disturbing themes, I would recommend this for people who are 16 and up because it is definitely worth your time. Our penultimate volume is volume 1 of The Demon Prince of Momochi House. There we go. Yep. And the back. So yeah. This follows orphan Himari Momochi, who inherits her estate when she turns 16, only to realize that she isn't the only person living there. The house is filled with spirits, some harmless and some harmful, with the main ones being Bishonens, which is typical of the author. This sadly isn't my favorite work from Aya Shuoto. I got this because I was craving a good shoujo, but also to read after Fire Punch to mellow me out a bit, which it did succeed in doing. The ending was predictable, and the budding romance between her and Aoi isn't one that I particularly like. When her other series, He's My Only Vampire, is back in stock, I plan to collect that one to completion instead. The series does have an audience, however, as fellow YouTuber Kaitaku appears to love this one, so who am I to say? Finishing up our retail buys is a BL. I bought this one alongside 20th Century Boys, and it is Tori-tan. I mean, I've noticed that there are like so many animals on this cover and like inside the volume, and like look how cute they are, like, that's so cute. So yeah. This will be another summary based off the blurb because I haven't really gotten a chance to like jump into it in its entirety. Basically, at the back it says that Inusaki is a detective who can talk to birds. He does hate it, but finds himself befriending a local crow and naming him Kuro. When his landlord's son joins the building, he notices that they sound similar and begins to develop feelings for him. Is there some kind of link between the bird and the landlord's son? This is another potential reading log item. The art looks really cute and seems to lean into the absurdist comedy route, which is definitely a route that I am a fan of. Well, with that said and done, that about does it for this haul. If you're here until the end, I can assume that you liked it, so consider subscribing and leaving a like if you liked it. That's all for me, folks. Have a good one.